What's going on, y'all? It's your man, Stephen Bartle, coming at you with another banger. I got another special show here, a great interview with former Purdue great Keith Edmonson. Keith, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, Stephen. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know we're all busy, but these Big Ten fans love to hear where some of the players are and what they're doing now. But I want to, we've got a nice mix here on Bartle's Breakdown. So we've got younger fans, we've got older fans. So I kind of want to go through your background, and then we'll lead up to the basketball, and then we'll catch up to what you're doing now. Is that okay?
That sounds great. Sounds great. And thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, hey, we gotta have Keith Edmonson on now.
Okay.
People remember those Purdue teams, man. You guys were stacked. But before we get to that, talk to me about how you were exposed to basketball. Where did you first come in contact with the game?
When I was born in Gulfport, Mississippi, and it was a sports town there. Both of my parents are from there, and my dad just built me a goal in the backyard there, and the entire neighborhood used to come by and play, and that's when we started playing basketball and football. But we used to play early and end at night. My mom would fix sandwiches and everything for everybody, and we just play and play and play. So that's where it first started there.
Okay. Now, did you have any older siblings or cousins or anything that would push you a little bit?
Well, I had one brother. He played some, but he was more on the academic side. But he played in high school as well. But mainly, I played against a lot of the older guys, and maybe that's why how I advanced so much by playing against the older guys and stuff. And they were kind of rough and everything. So that's how I developed my little jump shot over there. I wasn't trying to get banged in the head that earlier. So, yeah. But that helped me a lot to play against a lot of the older guys.
And so I saw that you went to high school in San Antonio. Is that correct?
Right. I went to high school in San Antonio. I moved from Mississippi right before my high school career began, and I played at Douglas MacArthur High School.
Okay. And how was that experience like coming through high school? Because you had to be one of the better players, if not the state, probably the country at that time. How was your experience there?
Yes, well, it was a good experience. I really loved my hometown, but my dad got another job. So when I came there, played in high school there, it was different. And we got to the number one ranking there in the city, and I had a great career there at MacArthur and had developed some good friendships there. I believe I led the city in scoring 2 years, was all city 3 years, made all state, and broke the city scoring record, and it was held for 17 years.
Wow. And
when I played, believe it or not, we didn't have a 3-point. So the guys that came after me, the couple that broke it, they had the 3-point shot, and most of them played 4 years, but I only played 3 years of high school. So, but it was a great career for me there at MacArthur High School. Some nice memories.
So you have all these accolades. You do really well. You break the scoring record. So I imagine, Keith, you had your pick of the litter where you could go to college. Is that right?
Yes, I had quite a few offers there. Quite a few offers, and basically it came down between University of Arkansas and Purdue University. And I kind of thought all along I was going to go over and play with Sidney Moncrief over there, because I kind of looked up to him a lot there, and then he was there on my visit and everything. But, at the last moment there, I chose Purdue. I had a big center, Joe Barry Carroll there, and we were going to Hawaii. And then Lee Rose had my coach, who unfortunately he passed a couple of weeks ago, within the last month. He took North Carolina Charlotte to the Final Four with Cedric Maxwell and those guys there. So I was like, well, man, I start adding it up. I said, Purdue, great education, Big Ten, Joe Barry Carroll there. I said, I'm trying to go and win me a national championship. So that's when I signed there with Purdue University.
Wow. So you go all the way from San Antonio, Texas to West Lafayette, Purdue. I mean, man, that had to be appealing. Was there anything special that happened on your visit that kind of sold you on Purdue?
Well, I knew how strong they were academically, and they had a good visit with the guys, and I developed a good rapport with Everett Bass, who was the assistant coach there. By him coming down and recruiting me and I met a couple of guys there, and it just appealed at the time. But when I got there and I saw that snow, like 2 and 3 feet, and they would say, "Oh yeah, you gotta have some snow boots on, and you gotta have 2 pairs of sweats and a ski mask and coats." I was like, "What am I doing up here?" So it was a shock, man. But I got used to it and whatnot. They were telling me things like, "Don't walk around outside, man, with your hands in your pockets, because you fall." And so I had to walk outside. I had to get used to all that because I wasn't used to all that snow. But it turned out all right. I had some good friends there at Purdue, and they wound up having a retreat. It was maybe a couple years ago where they had the Final Four team come back to Purdue, and I got a chance to see a lot of the guys I hadn't seen in like a decade or so.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So while you were at Purdue, Keith, was there a time where, maybe you weren't playing as much? Because I saw your numbers. I don't think you started your freshman year, but then sophomore, junior, and senior year, you got, more consistent with your scoring each season. Was there a time when you, maybe questioned things, or, there might have been a little adversity there?
Yes, my freshman year, I was not used to not starting. And matter of fact, I really didn't play that much. And they wanted me to basically play a defensive role my freshman year, when I think I only played average maybe 10 minutes a game or something like that. And I was like, man, I'm used to giving up numbers, man. So they had me. So I just made up my mind. I didn't tell the coaches anything. I was like, if I was, they might be a little shocked, but I said, if I'm not starting that first game, I'm transferring. So So I just had made in my mind that I was going to get that 2-guard slot. Somebody was going to have to give that one up. So
I heard that.
I got ready and, worked hard and came back, because we basically had 4 starters locked up. The point guard, we had Brian Walker, then we had Drake Morris at the 3, Arnett Hallman at the 4, and actually Joe Barry there in the hole there. So 4 spots are locked up. The only one wasn't sure of, it was like that one, and they had 3 or 4 or 5 guys that were battling for that position. So there's a certain time where the coaches could be on the floor. We were just kind of on our own, before the coaches get out there. So everybody's getting their bluff in. So I had to get mine in.
I know that's right.
Oh, man.
What are some of your best memories at attending Purdue and playing in the Big Ten? What are some memories that really pop up in your mind when I ask you that?
It was just so many great memories. Probably the one a couple that stick out was being tri-champs and the Big Ten champs our freshman year with Michigan State and Iowa. But at the time in 1979, they were only allowing 2 teams to go to the NCAA tournament. So we didn't get a chance, for some reason, the points or whatever system, we didn't get a chance to go. And then we're Big Ten champs now. They got 5, 6 teams
they had
the tournament.
They had 9 a couple years ago.
Yeah, so that was Big Ten champions. So that was great. And then naturally the Final Four was a great memory there. I guess some of the things that I achieved there at Purdue, Big Ten leading score, things like Big Ten, academic All-American, things like that. But one of the things I really cherish about that is just playing against some of the great players from the other schools. I mean, when I look back over it and I just kind of compare, I guess I'm somewhat biased, but I just think that the teams that we played, the players we played against, there was some of the greatest players that'll stack up with any area. You had at Michigan, you had at Michigan State, you had Magic and Greg Kelser and Jay Vincent. At Illinois, you had people like Derek Harper I played against. Indiana, Isaiah Thomas. Minnesota, you had Trent Tucker, Kevin McHale, Wisconsin, Wes Matthews, Iowa. You had Ronnie Lesser. You can go on and on. I was like, man, Herbie Williams, Ohio State, Clark Kellogg, people like that. And I tell people about Clark Kellogg, I said that was like a LeBron James.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
I mean, there's just so many great players we got a chance to play against. Eddie Johnson there at Illinois there too. So it was just so many players that got a chance to play against, and it was just brutal, man. Mike Woodson and Butch Carter and all of those guys. We had some wars. I tell some people about some of the games, they didn't believe it. They didn't believe how vicious it was.
Oh man, because Keith, can you explain to people, and I try to do this on the air all the time, and I know I sound like an old crazy man, but I try to tell people the Big Ten, when I played, was hand-to-hand combat. It was physical, and it was more physical when you all played, and I came a little bit after you. It was more physical back then. Can you try to explain, because I try to compare the games today to back in the day, and I'm like, they couldn't last 2 weeks in the Big Ten back then.
It was insane when I look back over. We played Indiana, so this is at Bloomington. So I remember one game. So Isaiah and Russell Cross, I think they were from the same neighborhood. He was an All-American player at Purdue. Russell, you remember Russell?
I remember Russell.
From
Chicago. Yep.
We had this guy named I know you all those guys. We got this guy named what's his name? Roosevelt Barnes, and he wound up playing in the NFL for 5 years. So we're in the game, it's loud and everything. And so, so Isaiah passed the ball and cut, and Roosevelt was a strong guy and he used to check him. And he was like, Russ, tell your boy I'm not no punk. So I'm going to keep it clean on here.
You don't have to keep it clean? Go ahead, Keith.
So anyway, next time he down, they pass the ball and he comes to it. Russell takes him again. Isaiah like, bam! Like, punch.
Isaiah punched him?
He punched him in his face and his eyes split open. So they had to take him out of the game and stitch him up. So we on our team, we're like, we see how this going out here. So I remember Randy Whitman was under the basket and he kept on bumping me, and I was like, bam! So I kind of unloaded on him, right? And so this with a hard elbow, right? And then so later on, Roosevelt comes back in there again in the game, and he's guarding Isaiah again. And next thing I know, he's stitched up again. He has to go and get some more stitches. This is all in the same game.
Wow.
And then we had Ted Kitchell, who was a great player.
Yes,
before he hurt his back, would have been an NBA player. We seen all this on film where he was under guarding Drake on the sideline, and Drake just goes, bam! And hits him with an elbow and snaps his head back. And believe me, all of this went on, not a foul was called.
Yeah, I believe it.
So you just look at it, you tell people, they're like, oh, coach, this can't be real. And I'm saying, dead serious. And Bobby Knight was on the show. I didn't watch it. I happened to watch it. And he says, Keith Edmonson, he's the dirtiest player in the Big Ten. They need to kick him out the league. That's what he was saying. That? Yeah, he said that. He said I needed to be kicked out of the league because he showed me unloading on Whitman.
But he didn't show Zeke unloading on Barnes, though, did he?
No, he didn't show that. They didn't show that having to get stitched up twice the game.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So the Final Four year that you guys were there, was Iowa there as well?
I was there. It was Purdue, Iowa, UCLA, and Louisville. And we lost to UCLA, I believe it was by 5, and then Louisville beat Iowa, and then Louisville beat UCLA for the title. And that's the last game in 1980 where there was an actual third-place game, and we defeated Iowa by about 15 or so. So that was the last third-place game that was played.
Oh, okay. So during that regular season, how did you and Iowa do? Like, did you guys beat them both times, or
No, I think we split. We
Okay.
split. We beat them at home, but then they beat us there. You know that. Shoot, that Ronnie Lester man had some jets on his feet.
Yes, he did.
And they had some other good players over there, but I remember him for sure.
Was Steve Carfino on that team?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was that a center? Was he a center?
No, Steve was a guard. He was a guard.
Okay, guard. Yeah, I remember his name. Yes.
Yep.
I remember. Yes. And I think they had I can't remember his name, but they had a rugged center as well.
Yeah, his name escapes me, Keith. I was thinking about that.
It's a big rugged center they had over there.
Is the last name Wade? Is it?
I'm not really sure, but they had a rugged center there, and they had a couple of wing guys that were good as well there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then so you're going through Purdue, and you use up your eligibility. Draft night comes. Talk to me about that. How was your draft night?
Well, it was kind of different there. I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to go, and then I got selected by Atlanta in the first round, and that was a great milestone for me. But just unfortunately, I didn't have a long career because I had some injuries there when I was in the NBA. But I had some good memories there as well. But I also played a long time overseas in Europe as well.
Oh, so where'd you play overseas, Keith?
Played in France, Belgium, and Spain, and I wound up having several knee injuries, surgeries rather, and but then I think just the wear and tear of the NBA and whatever, the grind maybe through the Big Ten or whatever, it had an effect on my knee. But I was able to play a long time over in Europe there because we only played like one game a week, so that was easy money there.
So I got a chance to play abroad as well. What was the place you liked the most?
I like France a lot. I played over there several years there, so I like playing over there. We played this place, Caen, France, and wasn't too far from Paris, so I used to kind of spend a lot of time there. So it was pretty cool there. Every weekend.
I see that smile on your face. I played with Livawa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I know what you're talking about.
Yes, exactly.
Good times.
Yes, indeed.
So when you decided to finish playing, did you really have a plan in mind what you were going to transition to, or did you struggle like a lot of us did when you battling depression, the end of your career, you kind of nervous about what you're trying to do? How did that scenario go for you?
It's a tough situation where say, man, I'm not going to play anymore. It's not easy, and I think that's something that I don't know if the NBA has that in place, but that's something that you have to really do is prepare for the future after basketball is over, because we all look and we see people like Kobe that played 20 years and Jordan and played these long careers, but the average of the NBA is only maybe 2 or 3 years. So
that's right.
When you get through playing, unless you go overseas, you're a young man at 30 years old with just beginning. And a lot of times, people, the athletes that don't have longevity, they find it tough, and they find it like, when you're in the NBA and you're helping your family out and having so much money, and then you don't have it anymore. I think sometimes they may get in trouble because they want to live that same lifestyle.
Sure. And
you can't live that lifestyle. And then when you're in the league, you have to save, because if you don't save, you say, well, I'm going to get another check and another check and another check. Well, those checks going to stop sooner or later. So
that's right.
They have to be smart with that, and they have to be careful about what lawyer that they choose. I had some trouble with my lawyer, and I had the same lawyer as going into the NBA was as Charles Barkley and Alton List and Ricky Pierce and Rod Williams there, and we had some trouble there, like financial situations there with them on some investments that didn't turn out that great. Although at the time it sounded like it would, but it didn't. So the guys have to be very, very careful once they hope some young people are listening that they're careful about choosing their lawyer and the investments that they do, because when you have a position to make a lot of money, then people can get tricky, and they can put you in some investments that don't pan out to be as well as how they draw it up to be.
Mm-hmm. No, Keith, you make a great point, because I think what people don't understand is that, when you're playing basketball, you have to be focused. Like if you're in the NBA, that's your job. You got to be focused,
right?
And it's really hard to devote the right amount of time to figure out these investments, what your lawyer's doing. You were an academic All-American at Purdue, right?
Right. First team, right.
So it's not like, you weren't intelligent. A lot of times I think, especially for African-American players, a lot of our parents aren't exposed a lot of times to certain level of investments, or having to deal with attorneys or accountants and things like that. Right. It's not a lack of intelligence, it's a lack of exposure. I would say. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that totally. And it's things like, giving a lawyer a power of attorney and things like that. And they said, well, we're going to give you a certain amount per month, but we're going to put this other money in a special investment where you're going to earn so much money on it, and things like that. And that's kind of like what happened to us. And I think with some of those players I mentioned, and not to put anybody's business in the street.
No, it's all good.
It was some McDonald's and pecan arches and things like that we invested in, but it didn't pan out to be as well. And it's, I'm not ashamed or anything like that, because if that means I can help someone else to be more careful, that might be a young NBA player listening to your great show there, if it could help them, then that's great and dandy that I'm bringing this to the light.
You're listening to Bartle's Breakdown. We've got former Purdue great Keith Edmonson joining us today. Keith, so what was your next stop after you finished playing? What was your first thing that you did?
Well, one of the things that I did was I started an organization called Full Court Press Foundation, and for the last 25 years, I've been putting on basketball camps for the underprivileged youth all across San Antonio. And many times that, I use some of my money to be sure that it would be successful there. But it was great. And I just had thousands of kids that's gone through my camp. And also, I've been working in the schools, and this is my 30th year teaching and coaching. Coaching basketball now. I'm the head basketball coach at Young Men's Leadership Academy there, and we made it to this is only our second year of varsity play, and we made it to the regional quarterfinals. So that was pretty good. We almost made it to state. So that's kind of rewarding. I don't know how much longer I have, maybe another year. That's going to be it. So those are some of the things that I've done, and I'm really proud of that. Especially Full Court Press Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization, and so many kids. We've given out shoes, we've given out clothing, we've given out educational items such as backpacks, pencils. We've gotten some of the kids to the Spurs game. Some kids that couldn't afford to pay, they got a chance to come. And one good thing that I love that about my camp is when I'm at school, you have to be careful, because when you pray and all that, as you probably read that there was this one coach, I believe they fired him for praying on the field. But when I'm at my camp, they fired some football coach, I believe it was it went all the way to the Supreme Court and about him praying with his team on the football field. But at my basketball camps, that's the first thing we do. We'll start off with a prayer and we'll end with a prayer.
I like
so
that.
They can't, as Kanye West says, they can't tell me nothing.
Because it's your organization.
That's right. And I'm going to praise him for all the great things the Lord's done for me.
Keith, it seems as though, you had a really, really illustrious career, but it seems like you're getting more fulfillment out of doing this than you did during your playing career. Is that correct to say?
Yeah, it really seems like that, man. It seems like when I'm on the sideline and I'm up all night and trying to, at night I'm thinking about, well, what about this play and how can we get this? It seems like I wanted for these kids to be successful. And I tell them, I say, none of this is for me because, I've had enough. I've had my day. It's for you guys to let them go out and play well, try to get some scholarships, know the importance of education and staying out of trouble and just treating them to be champions. And I'll just break down some of the things. They're like, Coach, tell me about this. And I'm not the type of guy that'll brag or do too much talking. And a lot of times people won't even know, my background, and they'll hear about it and say, we've been working with you for 5 years. We didn't know you played in the NBA. I was like, but it is great working with these kids. And you got to have a lot of patience.
Yep.
You got to have a lot of patience because it's different now. They think differently than what we did, but it's something just giving back to the community. And you want these kids to grow up to be strong community leaders in the future.
Oh, that's great. Keith, do you ever get out to see the Spurs play? And if you do, what are your thoughts on the present day NBA game?
Well, the Spurs, I do get a chance to go to the Spurs games, and I will say it's a great organization. They do give me tickets whenever I want, and season tickets and all that. And I've talked to other players who had long careers, and they said, yeah, our teams don't give us anything, but I can just make a phone call and they come through for me. But it's the NBA game today is less rugged. I think they're very, very talented players. But some of the old school players there, I tell you, like some of the dunks you see now, like LeBron James and all the dunks that they do. Could you imagine trying to do all that back then in the day on like Willis Reed and Will Chamberlain and Bill Russell and all that? Their careers would be short.
Or they'd be on their back, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they'd be on their back and whatnot. Yeah. So, it was rugged when I played. I know what it's like to get hit by an elbow by Kevin McHale and I was under the basket and rest in peace, Darryl Dawkins. I remember getting hit in the back by Darryl. I think my back is still hurt. I was like, I used to talk to him all the time. He was like, "Where the club, Keith?" Darryl, I can't say what he said, but I'll change up. He said, "Where the club at, Keith?" I was like, "Man, I ain't telling you nothing, man. You hit me in my back over here. I'm going to have to get some surgery." But, man, it was a lot more rugged. But these guys are really, really some great players out there. And I enjoy seeing them play. And it's a few out there. I never have everybody always ask me in the playoffs, like, who you naturally pull for the Spurs? But they're like, who you pulling for? And I said, maybe I'm a little different. I said, I'm not pulling for anybody. I just want to watch a good game. I like to see the matchups. If it's on TV, I want to hear what the commentators are saying. I want to see, learn about, just continue to listen about their analogies and things like that. And some of the things that's going on, then, maybe if I'm around my sons or something, although they live in Fort Worth, I live in San Antonio, they're like, Dad, you said the same thing he said on there. I was like, yeah, I need to be on TV, man.
Because the game.
I like that aspect. I like that aspect of just, analyzing it, what's being said and what's not being said in different matchups. And I'll tell myself, okay, one more bucket, they're going to call a timeout. Call a timeout. So I kind of like a student of the game still.
I love it. I love it. As we close, Keith, is there anywhere that the viewers, if they want to support what you're doing, your foundation, is there somewhere where we could direct them to?
Yes, they can go to www.fullcourtpressfoundation.org. That's www.fullcourtpressfoundation.org. And although in the last year or two we hadn't put on the camps because of like the COVID, we feel like it's going back down now, the COVID, and if that's the case, then people ask me, "You putting on a camp? You putting on a camp?" Because I went 25 consecutive years that I was really proud of.
Wow!
So that's where they could reach me, and all the information is on there as well.
Okay. Well, Keith, man, I really appreciate you joining us today. You got any comments as we close?
Well, I'm just saying thank you so much. I know you're a great player in your own right, and you had a big name in the Big Ten, and you're one of the Big Ten greats as well. And I really appreciate you remembering me. That's a long time off from back, but that makes you feel good that when people sit there and say, you know, about this and high school and this and that, I was like, oh, I must have been pretty good. But, you know, I give all the glory to God for giving me the ability and you know, to play the game and to play against so many greats and just kind of represent my family there and try to do some great things in the community and let my light shine so others can see the God in me and that's what it's all about, man.
Well, you shining, brother. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing, Keith. Really proud of you. And I thank you for taking the time out and joining us on Bartles Breakdown today.
Okay, thank you so much. Anytime you need anything, just check back with me. I'll be happy to follow up or whatever. And if y'all could send me maybe a copy of the interview, that
sure. I got you. I got you.
That sounds good. And God bless you, my brother.
All right. Thank you, Keith. That'll do it for this edition of Bartles Breakdown. That's why you got to come back and check every day, because you never know who I'm going to have up here. Come back, check out Keith Edmonson. We did Cassie Russell. His will be posted. We've done Tony Farmer, Marcus Liberty. We're getting the Big Ten greats. So make sure you come back to Bartles Breakdown and check it out. Until next time, y'all.